And then if I want to hide them, let's get a little bit into subtools here. So now we have a head, horns, and hair. So let's say I just want to look at the head and the hair and not the horns. One way to do that is to go through here and just turn off the eyeballs, which turns off visibility for the horns. If you want to just have the head visible and not the hair, what you can do is if you turn off the eyeball with the hair selected, it turns off all the subtools. That's a feature, and I'll get to that in a minute. Now, if you want to just have the head visible, just tap the head, and now the head is visible. However, if you tap any of these things by their name, it's just going to show that tool. So even with all their eyeballs off, it will always show the selected subtool. So if I just want to see the head, what I can do is select the head, and then just tap the head name one more time, and that'll turn the eyeball on. The reason I did that is if I have a head selected, and I just tap the name just to turn the eyeball off, if I have something that's not visible, and I touch the eyeball, that turns visibility on for everything. And again, that's a feature. That's something you want to have happen. You'll just have to get used to that being a shortcut for subtools. So what makes that cool is if I want to see just the head and the hair, I can have a subtool selected. I can tap the eyeball to turn everything off. I can select the head to turn that visibility on, and then the hair. Just touch the eyeball for the hair. So that's just a little shortcut. If I want to see just the head and the horns, I can turn the visibility off for everything. I can tap the head and then just tap these horns visibility on, and we're good to go. Or I can tap the hair just like that. So it's just a really easy way to kind of go through. If I don't want to see these horns right here, I can alt tap it. And then instead of turning the eyeball off, which if I have it selected and I turn the eyeball off, we already know it's going to turn off visibility for all my subtools. I don't want to have that happen. So I can alt tap it, tap the nameplate to turn it off. It's still visible because the subtool is selected, but if I alt tap anything else, it disappears because it's no longer selected, and because I hit the nameplate twice, it turned it off. So that's just an easy way to kind of go through all the, if you have a ton of subtools and go, you know what, I don't want to see the hair. Alt tap the hair, touch the hair nameplate, alt tap anything else, and you're good to go. If it's like, oh, you know what, I had a horn somewhere, I don't remember where they are, I'm just going to turn off all the subtools by, if all the subtools are on, or most of them are on, with my selected subtool, I'm going to touch the eyeball to turn everything off, and then turn everything back on, and now I've got everything. Oh, there's that extra horn. You know what, I don't want to see the hair though. Alt tap the hair, turn the eyeball off. Well, if you turn the eyeball off, all the subtools go off, so you touch the nameplate, and now you just see that. I know it's a little bit weird, and it takes a little bit of getting used to, but it's just one of those quick subtool things that you can do. So again, just to kind of go through this again, turn off all the subtools, have something selected that's visible, doesn't matter what, touch the eyeball, everything turns off. If you want to turn everything back on, select any subtool that's not visible, touch the eyeball, everything's back on. You can do alt tapping in your viewport to select subtools, and if you want to turn off these horns, this horn and this horn, these two right here, alt tap it, touch the name to turn the eyeball off, alt tap it, touch the name to turn the eyeball off, and then alt tap anything else, select any other subtool, and you're good to go. So just a little bit of subtool organization using these bent arrows to move subtools around, holding down shift and bent arrows to shoot them to the very top or the very bottom. And you can also use these arrows just to select through your subtool list if you want to. Another thing you can do is this list all. The shortcut for that is N. So if you tap N, you'll see a list of your subtools here, and it actually has the same functionality when we go in here to like B, S, M for smooth. You can also do that with your subtools. If you have a ton of subtools, you can hit N, and then we have a bunch of subtools named H, so we can type H, and then if you want the horns medium, you can do M, and then you got horns medium selected. Or I need to actually select it, so, well, I should have done that. Let's see, N, H, M should select horns medium. I wonder why it doesn't. N, H. If I tap it, it selects it, but if I type in the letter, it doesn't. I think that's a bug. But that's generally the functionality that it should have. Another thing you can do, like if you just want to work on the head and you don't feel like going, you know what, turn off all the subtools except for the head, which isn't a bad thing to do. But if you just want to temporarily, like say you got the head, let's turn everything back on, and you got all your subtools set up, you want the head showing and you want the hair showing. So I'm going to turn everything off, turn on the head, turn on the hair, and you know what, let's turn everything back on. I want to show everything, but this horns right here I don't want to have showing, so I'm going to turn that off by tapping the nameplate. Now they're gone. Now I just want to work on the head. If you just want to temporarily work on a subtool by itself and not have to go through that whole turn on, turn off stuff, just go into solo mode, and you can just tap solo, and now you're in solo mode. You're just working on the head here, and then when you want to bring everything back, turn solo off. There you go. And there's a little bit more information in here. If we hover over any of these subtools, you're going to see how many polygons each one of these things is. And if you look in the main tool up here, you're going to see a 5. That means there's one, scroll up here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 subtools per tool. So there's 5 subtools sitting in here. That's what that little indicator number is.